The first thing you got to do to teach them basic money principles is be open. Be an open book with them. Kids are naturally inquisitive. They have questions. They're going to ask you questions. Just make sure that you're open to talking about it with them. If you're struggling with something, talk about how you got into that situation and encourage them never to get into that situation. My younger two have lots of questions and they learn a lot that way. So make sure that you're an open book and so that they feel comfortable asking you those questions. But some of the things that you need to make sure you cover are car payments. Talk about how much is your car payment, what the interest rate is. Talk about those things with them, how a car payment works, the benefits for paying cash for a car, how leases are a bad idea and that you end up paying more for a car. So renting versus buying, that type of stuff. Credit versus debit. I've went over it with my kids. Every time we're at the store, I try to remind them that, when you're buying something and you're running, if you happen to be running a credit card, if you're like us, we don't use credit, but you still have to choose credit. The cashier, sometimes you have to ask her, how do I pick credit? So I make sure every time that happens, I explain to my kids, we run it as credit, but it's not actually a credit card, it's a debit card. And we talk about some of the reasons why we run it as credit. And for me, the biggest reason is it's a little bit more secure. And if there's ever any kind of issues, then it kind of falls more on the bank than on me. Mortgage. Do your kids know what the word mortgage means? Especially if they're high schoolers. They're getting ready to go out into the world. Do they know what a mortgage is? Do they know how interest rates work? Do they know what an amortized loan is? Do they know what an amortization is? I say that right? Amortization. Do they know how to run an amortization calculator? There's all kinds of apps for that. When I was younger, you had to learn how to use a financial calculator, and it made it very difficult to see how much you'll be paying for something for the life of a loan. So teach your kids some of those apps that they can download so that when they're out buying a car someday without you or buying a house, they can plug in that interest rate and see, wow, this car is only costing $12,000 or $15,000, but with this interest rate, it's going to cost me X, $25,000, and with this interest rate, it's going to be $21,000. So just teach them the basic concepts and principles of that. And then passive income and multiple sources of income. I try to teach my kids from a young age. They're like sponges, right? So they're gonna soak up everything that you tell them. So if you can teach them about passive income, about multiple income streams, about how to create income without trading time for dollars, and you get that ingrained in them when they're young, then when they get older, they're going to have a better chance of creating wealth and living a good, healthy financial life. Number 2, the value of money. Okay? This one is very easy to accidentally mess up with your kids. We all want to give our kids the best. We want to do the best thing for them. And sometimes it's very easy to just give, and never to teach them the value of money. So when I was growing up, it was a little bit different because we didn't have money. So the answer was always no. No, you can't have that. No, there's not enough money. No, money doesn't grow on trees. No. But if you're in a different financial situation, you want to make sure that you teach your kids the value of money. And some of the ways that we do that is, number 1, we make them earn their money. We don't give it to them. They don't get an allowance. I don't believe in allowances. I don't want my kids to grow up thinking that they get something for nothing. I don't want them to grow up entitled. So they have to earn their money. And even on big purchases, when I was younger, I had to buy my own car. But I don't want them to struggle while they're in high school. So one thing that we do is they have a savings account. And every time they put money for a car in a savings account, we double it. So they're learning at a young age the value of saving. And it also helps them because as a kid, it's very hard to save up $10,000, $15,000 for a car. So we're just requiring them to save up some. It's very important that you make them work for everything that they get so that they have that value of money ingrained in them and also a good, strong work ethic. Grades should be linked to performance. We do pay for grades in our house, but it's on a tiered system based on how many A's they got, how many B's they got, how many C's they got, I think. I know we don't pay for D's and F's. I'm not even sure if we pay for C's. But one thing that you can do is one way we do allow them to earn money, and I got this from John Maxwell, so thank you, John Maxwell. This is a great way to develop their character and give them a chance to earn money. So we have them read books and write book reports, and we're kind of moving into the digital age where we're letting them do digital reports, so they can create some kind of presentation or video going over a book, and that allows them to learn some of the computer skills other than just typing. It's also a great way for them to internalize what they read. So when they're younger, I'm going to go over some books, and I'll put all these in the show links. They're affiliate links, so if you want to support this channel, just order from Amazon from those links. It won't cost you anymore, but it'll give us a little bit of a kickback. So when they're younger, these are some of the books that we read. The Oak Inside the Acorn. This is talking about purpose and greatness inside of kids. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. This is something that adults need to learn, because when you do something that doesn't work out, you learn something, and so it's a win. And of course, the classic, The Giving Tree. And as they've gotten a little bit older and they can read what they call chapter books now, we started to move on to stuff like this. So these books aren't necessarily about money, but it develops them. It develops who they are, it develops their character, it develops their leadership traits. So this is How to Win Friends and Influence People for teen girls. And then we've also done the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. And hopefully what this will also do, because sometimes they come back and they go, oh, that was a really good book, or oh, I learned this. So they start internalizing some of the stuff that they don't learn in school, but they really should. I Am Malala. This is one that my daughter just absolutely loves. And it's about a little girl over in I don't even know what country it is because I haven't read it, but education is not for women, and she pushes education for all women, all little girls, and she ends up getting shot in the head by a terrorist organization, but she survives that, and she goes on to speak all over the world, and she's really pushing for equal education and equal rights for women. She was a girl when this happened, so it's kind of got my daughter to think like she doesn't have to wait till she's older to make a difference, So I kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I develop her character, I help her dream bigger, and she gets to earn money for doing a book report. And typically we pay, for these books when they were younger, we used to pay them, I think, like $10, $15. As they got older, we moved on to, these are $20, $25 books. So the thicker the book is, or the harder the read is, if it's a difficult read, like if it's an adult book, this is kind of made for kids. This is kind of more of an adult book. So usually I give $25. Now, $25 is nothing for as long as it takes a kid to read a book. But it'll also develop their reading skills, because I'm amazed when they want something how many books they can burn through. They turn off the TV, they put their nose in a book, and they start learning. And then as they get older, we'll move on to some of these type of books. So this is The Dream Giver. This is one of my absolute favorite books, if you haven't read that. This is Rise of the Youpreneur. This is all about how you can basically create a lifestyle by design. And then, of course, any of the Kiyosaki books. This is my favorite Kiyosaki book, Cashflow Quadrant. If you've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that's great, but Cashflow Quadrant is absolutely better than Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So that was number 2. So what have we covered? Be an open book, be willing to talk to them about anything. The value of money. Make sure that you make them earn it and make them understand the value of money. One more point on that one is no bailouts. My daughter had saved up enough money for something the other day, but she still needed $2. And would I just give her $2 to get that thing? And I said, you know what? I'll loan you $2. And so I loaned her $2, and she had to pay me back eventually. Then actually, I think she went in her piggy bank where she had saved some coins, and she counted out $2, and that helps them learn the value of money. Developing their skills and letting them learn. So one of the best ways you could teach them about money is getting them involved in entrepreneurial activities. And in the old days, we would say, have a lemonade stand, do a yard sale. All that stuff still works, but we live in a different age now. So you can actually have your kids start doing something that could potentially pay them as they get older, and as they move into adulthood, it'll lay the foundation. And for them at this age, it's fun. So for example, my 2 younger children, they have a YouTube channel. They're sisters, they have a YouTube channel. They put out videos, and at first it was just for fun, and YouTube is really great right now at kind of filtering things for kids, kind of keeping an eye on the kid stuff. You want to keep an eye on it too. I have access to their YouTube channel. I can see every comment, I can see everything. You want to protect your kids, and YouTube does some stuff to protect them, but you want to be the one that's in charge of protecting them. So, but as they've created YouTube channels and they've started to get followers, what's starting to happen is they're seeing, like my brother, they're seeing their uncle. My brother's making about $800 to $1,000 a month on YouTube. So then they start asking questions. Well, how do we make money doing this? And I teach them the word monetization. You have to monetize it. And we have that discussion. So just today, which was kind of the catalyst for this video, they had me show them how to put affiliate links at the bottom of their YouTube channel. They're growing up, their subscriber base, their views, and my hope is that when they get to be 14, 15, 16, they'll have enough subscribers and views that they can turn on the ads, and then they'll make money from that, and they'll make money from the affiliate links that they're putting in there, and then they'll have a real world look at how entrepreneurship works and how it's much better to do work one time and get paid forever on it than it is to trade an hour of your time for X amount of dollars and then be done with it. So I'm teaching them to look long term, and that's what you want to do with your kids. And YouTube is the best. It's a great platform for it because it's hard for a kid to learn how to blog. I don't really want them on social media. There's not, every now and then there's a comment on YouTube, but it's not like they're interacting with a lot of people. They get thumbs up, they get some comments, they get some subscribers, and that's about it. And I also get pinged every time they get a comment or something. So it feels like a safer route to me, and it's also something that can grow into something else. It's much better than getting sucked into the drama of social media and Kick and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. Number 4, savings. Teach them how to split up their money. Savings, giving, and tithe. So when they get their money or spending, you should have a savings section. We don't do as good on this as we should. We did it with the older two a little bit better, but teach them to save a certain amount. Teach them what percentages are. Teach them to give a certain amount. Tithe if you tithe. To me, tithing and giving are two different things, but it's kind of up to you. But teach them to be generous. So save, give, tithe, and spend. And you can set those percentages. You don't want them to shut down and not be interested in doing it because they're putting so many in other jars that they don't get to spend. But you also want to teach them the value of learning how to budget, because when they get older, like it or not, your salary and your budget is your budget. So they need to learn to take out that money that they're going to save, take out that money that they're going to spend, and take out the money that they're going to give. Number 5, play some money games. Money games are great because you get to have all kinds of conversations about money. You also get to build your relationship with them. Kids love playing board games. So before I say my favorite money games, take a moment and do me a favor and put your favorite money game in the comments below. Okay, so my favorite money games for kids. Now there's one that I haven't played, and it's the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. They have a game. It's a money game. I don't remember what it's called. I imagine that one's pretty good. Life is a great money game. Now the thing about life is it's not very realistic, and you have to have a conversation with them because the life is based on if you get certain credentials, certain degrees, then you make more money. So I like to have that conversation with my kid. Just because you have a piece of paper doesn't mean you're going to make more money or have a better life. My degree, I always say, is the worst investment I ever made. It was way too expensive for what it allowed me to do and for the income it allowed me to generate. If I would have spent that money on something entrepreneurial or the same amount of money opening a business, I would have made tenfold my money back. I don't think that investing in education is always a good thing, but you get to have those conversations. That's what the game is about. The game is completely based on luck. So, sometimes you roll something good, you spend something good, and you do well. Other times you do bad, but you get to have conversations about the cost of things, about how much it costs to run things, about salary, all that kind of stuff that's kind of odd to maybe bring up in a normal conversation, like, Johnny, come sit down here. Let's talk about salary. You don't have to do that in the game of life. All that stuff's embedded in there, so you can have the conversations as you're playing the game, and you can instill your family values around money as you see fit as you're playing the game. And of course, Monopoly. Monopoly is a great game. They now make Monopoly board games that are based in certain cities. So if your kids are familiar with a city, like we live near Orlando, we could probably get a Monopoly game that's called Orlando Monopoly or Monopoly Orlando, something like that. And it's going to have some of the things that they might be familiar with, like Disney World and all that kind of stuff. So I encourage you to use Monopoly in life and any other board games that you can think of, or games that maybe you can find some games online that you can play with them. But have those conversations around money so that they are financially literate when they get older. Number 6, use cash as much as you can. Teach them Dave Ramsey's envelope system. We use Dave Ramsey's system. We're on a budget, right? So every month we take out X amount and we put it into different envelopes. And so if you teach your kids how to use the envelope system, and going back to number 4 when we were talking about savings, giving, tithe, and spending, that would actually be a perfect way to teach the envelope system. You don't have to have a jar, maybe teaching them how to use envelopes from the beginning will carry into the rest of their life. And as they get older, it'll just be part of what they do when they earn money. And the reason I like to use cash is because it teaches them about change when they're younger, but also it's just that visual of like when we get something at the store, we are using cash, we're using money. When you use a debit card or a credit card, that transaction gets lost. That's kind of the whole point. Credit card companies know if you're using a debit card or credit card, you're going to spend more. Typically, people spend more when they're using one of those cards because you don't have the tangible physical cash with you. So teach your kids to use cash as much as you can. Lastly, all this money stuff is good, but you need to focus on your kids' character. You want to teach them about money, but it's not important as building a good, solid character foundation. Teach them about work ethic, teach them about character, and teach them that money is important in the sense that it helps us lead a good life, but money is not what's the most important. They should never choose money over people. They should never do anything unsavory to earn money. Money is just a tool, and they need to learn that. But if you're doing all these things, your kids are going to grow up being financially literate. You're going to learn some stuff about human nature and about money along the way. There'll be bumps in the road, and it's actually a great opportunity for you to share what's going on so that they can learn from your mistakes. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit the notification button so you get notified every time we have a video. One last thing, if you want to connect with us or you want to learn what we're doing to build wealth, I'll put that link in the description as well. Have a good day. God bless.